Hello everybody and welcome back to the Building Investors YouTube channel. We're going to be building a tiny house. Isn't that the most exciting thing ever? I'm excited. Anyways, we found this chassis on Marketplace for 500 bucks just up the street from where I work on stuff at. I could not pass it up. So I came over to the guy and I said, hey, I'll give you 500 bucks. I'll tell you more about the story here in a minute. But anyways, this chassis is approximately 70 feet long, which is way too long for me to haul on the road without putting axles underneath it. And I don't have axles. So we're going to be cutting it into the size of the tiny house first thing. So we're going to be cutting a 40-foot section, which will be for the tiny house, and then a 24 to 30-foot section for future plans, which I may reveal in this later on in this video. So anyways, just walking it, just to show you what it is. It's just a simple mobile home chassis is what it is. The guy's already stripped off the mobile home from it. So it's just a chassis. So I started with cutting it. I had a saw basically to cut it with, a reciprocating saw, but it wasn't quite working, so I had to use a grinder, and it worked pretty well actually. Just took a bit and it kept getting jammed, and so I had to use the jack to lift it up. I had the regular car jack, but it wouldn't work, and so I'll have to rebuild that. So I got out my trusty old high lift jack and started jacking it to relieve the pressure off the frame, and then use my saw, my grinder here, to cut it, kind of trying to cut a nice straight line, as straight as possible, but you know, I'll fix it up later. So that kept happening, which was not fun and dangerous. Be careful. So cut a nice straight line, and then eventually you'll have the frame cut in half, which is super nice. So I met this guy a couple of weeks ago, back when it was really cold and snowy and dark outside all the time, and he lives in a camper right next door, which you'll see coming up. And it was kind of sketchy. I had ended up making him an offer. I said, hey, are you open to offers? He said, absolutely, but hasn't gone anywhere. So I finally got that cut in half, so jacking it down. I said, hey, how about 200 bucks? And he basically threw me out of the camper, or almost threw me out. He tried, well, he couldn't physically do it because he's too much older than I am. But anyways, I told him, I said, okay, I'll pay the 500 bucks, not a big deal. He lives in that camper right there. So nice old guy. After I got to meet him and a lot of stuff, so he actually helped me, you'll see here in a little bit, helped me put this back together, or put it on the trailer, I should say. So just grinding away, cutting this side, and I had to replace the grinding wheel quite a few times because it kept getting pinched and broken, which you'll see here in a minute. So I think I used 3 in total, which not a big deal. So let's cut a nice straight line, cutting this again 40 foot and then 30 foot, and yeah, that one exploded, so a little dangerous. Just a little tip: if you're going to replace a grinder wheel, be safe. Take the battery out. Unless you're using another grinder, then you can unplug it. So I'm using gloves. I don't have the tool with me to take the grinder wheel off, and so sometimes you can get it just by spinning the grinding wheel and locking the lock. But I did have a pair of pliers with me, so I was able to put these on there and back it off. So if you're wondering why I'm using blue-handled pliers to take it off, that's why. I don't have the tool with me, and I didn't want to drive home to go get it, which is not a big deal. It'll come off. So once I got off, you can put a new wheel on. Super handy, super easy. Yeah, nothing to worry about here. So I have a quarter grinder, and I could have plugged it in, but I didn't bring it with me. And this one's so much easier. So I have a table saw battery on it, which lasts forever. Super nice. So once you get on there, you can tighten it by hand. It's kind of nifty. And then finish cutting it, and that's pretty much it. You know, just cut, and then it was pretty sketchy lifting it up there, but we got it. So high lift jack to the rescue, a bunch of blocks, and inching the trailer back inches at a time until it's finally underneath of it. So yeah, so lots of grindy noises here. I'll have that turned down for you so it doesn't sound so loud in your ear like it is in mine right now. But cutting it through and then jacking the pressure off of it, so once you cut it, it can just pop right off. So I'm gonna jack it back down here and cut it off. So while I'm thinking of things to say, how's your day going? Are you doing okay today? I hope you are, because I'm doing good today. It's a nice sunny blue sky, a little bit of clouds in the sky, nothing to worry about. It's pretty nice. So this property is right next to a railroad track, and so you hear trains go by a lot. Like, man, I kept trying to back the trailer up, and I wanted to wait till I could hear like his signals, just in case I was running into something important. And so I couldn't hear him, so I was just going by hand signals, and he wasn't the best at that, but you know, So finally got it backed up between all the trains going by and honking their horns. And so isn't that satisfying just watching that drop off? So anyways, back to how you're doing. Hope you're doing well, and I hope you're enjoying this time lapse here. So basically jacking up, putting blocks under it, jacking up, putting blocks under it, having him hold the jack so it doesn't fall over. There's many places that you could have lost a leg, broken a leg, died, but if you're careful, you can do it properly. So it'd be really nice if I just had axles to put it on, or like a company that can come haul it, but I didn't want to pay anybody, and I have a trailer. So even though it hung off the trailer by like 20 feet, it was super sketchy, it was totally worth it. It was fun. It only took, I think in total, 4 hours to do the whole thing, to move it, to set it back in place at the property and all that stuff too. So I brought these 4x6s that are 10 feet long, so I can use them to straddle the trailer and back it under. This is me driving home at a snail's pace, like 2 miles an hour. My hazards on. Well, here we are. We made it back, and it's ready to be put down. So I've got it measured away from the fence, 10 feet, just to make it look nice and equal, because it'll be sitting here for a little bit. So now we got to jack up the back, and then put a beam under the middle to kind of teeter-totter it, pull off from underneath of it, and then lower it down. So half the battle is done, and then we still got to pick up the little short 30-foot piece. So anyways, that's what's up next. Currently, we are 1 block, well, less than 1 block from being perfectly balanced, which isn't necessarily a good thing, because it would be nice to have a little more weight in the back at this point. At the beginning, it was nice to have the evenness right in the middle, so I could kind of teeter it when I drove under it. But now I've got to get this I-beam right here, that's for the hitch, up high enough to pass those fenders. And so now I'm going to have to jack up the front, get it stabilized, reset this block a little bit forward, a little bit higher. That way we can pull off underneath of it, and then we can safely let it to the ground, right? That's the plan.
Moving to the front of this big old trailer chassis thing. I was going to be jacking from this point here, but then I realized, yeah, a high lift jack needs to have the handle go down pretty much all the way. So I switched to the other side, and I'm gonna be jacking. So I've got these 6x6s that I'm standing on right there and kicking with my toes. Those were actually in the trash. I picked those out of the trash not too long ago, so that was kind of handy. I was like, those will work great for picking up my new trailer for my tiny house. And so I picked those out of the dumpster. There was a bunch of them, but I only grabbed 4 of them. But anyways, this is really sketchy to do by yourself. Like, it would be nice to have at least 2 more people, but 1 more person would be even safer than me. But you can do it, just gotta be careful. So the problem with high lift jacks is that all the weight is in the center, so you could easily push it over, or it could fall over. So crossing over like this without holding it is probably the most sketchy thing that I've done this year. So don't do that. But because if it were to fall while I was crossing over and land on my toe, which is a steel toe, probably been fine, but that would hurt so bad. But anyways, I got over safely, and then I'm going to stack up these 6x6s. You can tell I'm struggling with holding it from falling over, which is not safe. Totally don't recommend doing this. OSHA, hope you're not watching. Anyways, stack these up, and then I can set it down. It's stable on the front, and then I can reset that 4x6 right there in the middle that it's going to be teeter-tottering on. So anyways, a little 6x6, 2x4, and another 2x4, and you can set it back down. So this segment of the video was a little bit boring, just watching it by itself. So I'm like, I better add some content in there with my voice or some music or something. I'm like, since there's no music in the rest of the video, you should probably just talk through it. You know, there's not really much to explain. It's kind of simple. Just jack and put boards underneath of it. But yeah, not too bad. The trailer, I wish I had now that I'm looking at the video, I'm like, man, it would have been nice if I was driving down the road and had the camera on the road so you could see it drive by, because it looked crazy. All the neighbors were like staring at me and like, what is that guy doing in my neighborhood with that piece of junk? So anyways, I'll let you watch the rest in peace.
At this point, I'm filming it just in case, well, it feels like it, just in case I die. That way, my wife can get a ton of views and make a ton of money. This is sketchy. just in case you haven't used one of these jacks. They're called high lift jacks. And they're super handy, especially for off-roading, but they're also super sketchy, but you can do a lot with them. Like kill yourself. Sketchy. Basically what I've created is the world's biggest teeter-totter, but I'm not going to test it out because that would be deadly. So here we go, let's pull the trailer out from underneath of it.
Moving on to the final time lapses here, we're going to be jacking this frame down to the ground, and I want it to be safely low enough to the ground where I can work on it, but high enough to where I don't have to bend over so much, because in the next video we're going to be making this frame look pretty. And so we're going to move all these blocks, probably put 2 in the middle, 2 on the end, and eventually I'll make it perfectly level, which kind of funny scenario here is I put the level on it after I got it down, and for the most part it's like spot on, so I'm quite excited about that. But anywho, this is the rest of the frame segment that I went and picked up. Just showed full time lapse on this. Tried to not show the camera as much because people always are nervous with cameras, and so this one's just set on tripod charging for now. He still found it. But anyways, we got the frame jacked up and then backed under. It was a little more difficult because it's closer to the length of the trailer, but that was it. We have made it back with the second section. So in total length, I think the whole thing is like 70 feet long. I'm not sure if that was from the tongue to the end or from here to there. I'm sure it's a standardized size, but it's about 14 feet from that side to that side. And this section's approximately 40 feet. This section's approximately 30 feet. The trailer is 20 feet to the end of the deck. So I'm gonna say it's more like 24 feet instead of 30 feet. But the idea of this, if it hasn't been made clear yet, is this will be the main tiny house portion, which will be put on axles eventually, and I'll have a tongue to tow around. And then this section, I haven't decided yet. I'll probably use some of these pieces to fix the ones that are broken.
and re-support everything. But then there's gonna be a decent section of this left over. And so I'm thinking about putting this right beside this one, making its own trailer out of it. And then I can build a deck or another room, an office or something, storage shed, something that matches this. That way I can park them next to each other and it would look super sharp. So I'll go over the floor plan once we get to that section of it. But basically, depending on which side, it's gonna be bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, living room, and then loft. So that'll be pretty cool. I can't wait to share the drawings with you. But I have to do some more measurements to make sure everything is exactly the way we'd like it. So I'm pretty excited. Aren't you? It's gonna be great. The first step to this process is to wire wheel basically everything, all of the pieces, and then come back and paint it. We're probably just gonna do some sort of Rust-Oleum flat black or semi-gloss black, something like that. Nothing too shiny. Satin maybe. So that'll look really nice. So pretty cool. It's parked at a lot here. That way I can work on it. And so that one will probably just stay on the trailer until I need the trailer. This one I'll start working on. So anyways, I am sunburnt because I haven't been outside in the sun all winter because it's northern Pacific Northwest up here, and it is slightly not sunny the whole winter. So now that it's sunny, I'm baking like a lobster. I can feel it. So anyways, hope you enjoyed watching the pickup process of the tiny house chassis frame. So pretty exciting stuff. So if you can't wait to see something, or if you have questions about tiny house process, I'm just getting started, so I haven't done it myself, but I have built a bunch of stuff in my life. And if you haven't watched my channel, this is your first time, go back and watch all this cool stuff that I have done about working and building houses and renting houses and flipping houses, all that stuff. It's all on the channel. So hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you very much. And don't forget to look in the description below. Have a good one. God bless.